MARCOS, previously named as Marine Commando Force, is the Special Forces unit of the Indian Navy, created for conducting special operations such as amphibious warfare, close quarter combat counter-terrorism, direct action, special reconnaissance, unconventional warfare, hostage rescue, personnel recovery, combat search and rescue, asymmetric warfare, foreign internal defense, counterproliferation, amphibious reconnaissance including hydrographic reconnaissance. The MCF is specially organized, trained and equipped for the conduct of special operations in a maritime environment. MARCOS is short for Marine Commandos. The force has gradually acquired experience and a reputation for professionalism over the 3 decades it has been in existence. The MARCOS are capable of undertaking operations in all types of terrain, but are specialized in maritime operations in Jammu and Kashmir through the Jhelum River and Wooler Lake, of 65 square kilometer freshwater lake. Some MARCOS personnel are also attached with the Army Special Forces units conducting counter-terrorism operations in the area. MARCOS are widely feared among the terrorists who call them Daddiwala for you, meaning the bearded army, because of the bearded disguise in civil areas. History. The Indian Armed Forces wanted to establish an amphibious warfare and maritime special operations force. During the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, the Indian Navy supported the landing operations against the Pakistani base of Cox's Bazar, Operation Jackpot, landing an Army brigade using Polnozhny-class landing ships without significant resistance. Before this operation, Indian Navy divers provided basic training in underwater demolition to Bengali insurgents. However, this did not yield expected results. Later, different Indian Army units were assigned amphibious roles in exercises. In 1983, the 340th Army Independent Brigade based at Trivandrum was converted to an amphibious assault unit. Since then, the Navy has conducted various exercises to demonstrate its amphibious abilities, notably the Andaman Islands in 1984, and Goa in 1986. These assault operations included both airborne and amphibious forces. In April 1986, the Indian Navy started planning for a maritime special force which could conduct amphibious reconnaissance, raids and counter-terrorist operations. The force was initially trained by the other special forces of the country, including those under the Home Ministry and the Army. 3 officers were then sent to undergo a hard training schedule with U.S. Navy SEALs, and further training was then acquired through exchanges with the British Special Air Service. The officers formed the first nucleus of the Indian Marine Special Force, which was officially established in February 1987. The first batch of Marine Commandos qualified in February 1987. It was later renamed as the Marine Commando Force in 1991. Known activities and operations. VBSS team during Exercise Indra 2014. The MARCOS are capable of undertaking operations in all types of terrain, but are specialized in maritime operations. The force has undertaken numerous joint exercises with special forces from around the world. The MARCOS presently has approximately 2,000 personnel, though its actual strength remains classified. Operations undertaken by MARCOS usually remains classified, though some of the known operations are. MARCOS are known to be very secretive, not revealing their actual identity as specialized elite soldiers. In their operations, they are sometimes assisted by Westland WS-61 Sea-King transport helicopters, Chetak helicopters and 2-man submarines. MARCOS can be launched from ships, aircraft and submarines in full battle gear. Functions. Role. The exclusivity of the unit lies in its competence to operate in all three mediums, namely sea, air and land. The MCF is specially organized, trained and equipped for the conduct of special operations in a maritime environment. Personnel from unit are deployed round the clock from Kashmir for CT ops to Goa, Somalia for anti-piracy operations. The unit has always been at forefront in providing diving, civil assistance during times of natural disaster. The core tasking of MARCOS include: conduct clandestine attack against enemy ships, offshore installations and other vital assets behind enemy lines, to support amphibious operations including pre-assault ops, to conduct unconventional warfare, conduct of surveillance and recce missions in support of military operations, conduct of clandestine diving operations, to conduct hostage rescue operations in maritime environment, combating terrorism in a maritime environment. Selection and training. All MARCOS personnel are males selected from the Indian Navy. They are selected when they are in their early 20s and have to go through a stringent selection process and training. The selection standards are extremely high. The training is a continuous process. American and British Special Forces assisted in the initial training, which now consists of a 2-year course for new recruits. The training regimen includes airborne operations, combat diving courses, counter-terrorism, anti-hijacking, anti-piracy operations, direct action, infiltration and exfiltration tactics, special reconnaissance, unconventional warfare training, etc. Majority of the training is conducted at Inzabamani, which is also the home base of MARCOS. All MARCOS personnel are freefall qualified. A few also qualify to operate the Cosmos CE-2FX 102 Mansubs. MARCOS train along with the Special Forces officers of the Indian Army like the Para Commandos at the Indian Special Forces Training School, Navhan and Army's other schools for unconventional warfare. These include the Junior Leaders Commando Training Camp in Belgaum, Karnataka, the Parvat Ghatak School in Tawang, Arunachal Pradesh, Desert Warfare School in Rajasthan, the High Altitude Warfare School in Sonamarg, Kashmir, and the Counter-Insurgency and Jungle Warfare School in Verenkte, Mizoram. These elite schools routinely host students from other countries. MARCOS are then trained at various training agencies within the Navy. They are skilled combat divers and parachutists, and most of the training deals with counter-terrorist, anti-hijacking and anti-piracy operations. Generally, the pre-training selection process is made of 2 parts. Any Indian Navy personnel who wants to join this outfit must first undergo a 3-day-long physical fitness test and aptitude test. Within this process, 80% of the application are screened out. Further screening process is known as Hell's Week. This is actually a 5-week-long process which involves high degree of physical exercises and sleep deprivation. It is only after this process that actual training begins. The total duration of training of MARCOS is between 2.5 to 3 years. The basic training lasts 6 months. The first 2 months is the weeding out phase, the first phase of which lasts 1 month, in which they undergo many rigorous physical tests of which only 50% pass. Then for the next 9 months, they are taught how to use different types of weapons, conduct special warfare techniques and how to gather intelligence from the enemy. The cadets start with basic diving and commando tactics and skills. Those that go on are trained in every aspect of modern warfare and in every situation. This includes firing while lying down, standing, running full sprint, even backwards and looking into a mirror, with a reaction time of 0.27 seconds. This is followed by a year of training of specialized skills. They are trained in various types of close combat including Krav Maga. Different forms of warfare training is imparted through field operations in counter-insurgency and anti-terrorist operations within the country, and are trained to operate in any kind of environment like beaches, deep sea, on the surface of the ocean, in jungles, ravines, and for situations like hostage rescue, urban combat, and piracy. A notably rigorous training program is the Death Crawl, an 800-meter struggle through thigh-high mud, loaded with 25 kilograms of gear, and after a 2.5 kilometers obstacle course that most soldiers would fail. After that, when the trainee is exhausted and sleep-deprived, he has to undergo the final test, shooting a target 25 meters away, with a partner standing next to it. The MARCOS are trained in every kind of weapon and instruments, from knives and crossbows to sniper rifles, handguns, assault rifles, submachine guns, and bare hands. Being divers, they can reach hostile shores swimming underwater. The further training includes open and closed circuit diving, basic commando skills including advanced weapon skills, demolitions, endurance training and martial arts, para-training, intelligence training, operation of submersible craft, offshore operations, anti-terrorism operations, operations from submarines, skydiving, various special skills such as language training, insertion methods, etc. Explosive ordnance disposal techniques. They are also trained to parachute into open water with full combat load. In 2013, the MARCOS have introduced a larger duck drop system which will be fitted on Ilyushin Il-76 aircraft. Each system can accommodate 32 commandos, the weapons and fuel for the boats. Duck drop system that MARCOS operate in the past is smaller in size, which is fitted on 32 aircraft. This force multiplier was developed by the Agra-based Aerial Delivery Research and AMP Development Establishment. Once para-dropped from the aircraft, it allows for the commandos to assemble inflatable motorized boats within 10 minutes, and quickly reach ships in distress. On reaching the target, they can dismantle the boats and travel underwater to mount a surprise attack. Such rescue missions can be mounted by the commandos deployed within an hour, unlike in the past, when commandos took up to 48 hours to reach the targets, as it involved traveling on board ships and then being deployed on motorized boats. The MARCOS are also preparing for urban warfare and have begun practicing on 3D virtual models of offshore installations to ensure a swift response during a terrorist attack. The Marine Commandos are undergoing regular training sessions in this computer-generated program to be well prepared for a strike similar to the 26/11 attack. Reliance Industries Limited has provided a virtual model of its facility in Krishna Godavari Basin in the east for the Marine Commandos at Inskalinga, the training base for MARCOS in Visakhapatnam. MARCOS will carry out amphibious operations at Frasersganj in the Sundarbans as part of the routine training. Frasersganj, with its beach and proximity to the estuarine delta, is an ideal location for such exercises, the source added. The Coast Guard is in the process of setting up a base at Frasersganj and station hovercraft there. More importantly, the elite force will get a feel of the Sundarbans, which is considered at risk from infiltrators and terrorists. There are so many waterways running through the Sundarbans delta that it is not possible to maintain physical vigil on all movement there. Security experts believe that the threat from terrorists moving in from the sea still remains. With so many vessels passing through the Sundarbans, it may be a route for terror outfits to send in armed men to carry out an attack like that on Mumbai. In case of any eventuality, the macros are most likely to be called in, as it is a marine environment. A major part of the training is kept under wraps. Fraser's Gunch will be an ideal location where secrecy can be maintained. The Indian Navy initiated the process of procuring 5 midget submarines for Marine Commandos. These vessels would have the capacity of carrying 4 to 6 personnel on board. The submarines would have a diving depth of around 400 meters, and will strengthen the MARCOS' ability to carry out special underwater operations in high seas. The midgets will have the capability of carrying out both manned and unmanned operations and will be equipped with a number of weapons, including torpedoes. In 2009, the Navy initiated the process of procuring these vessels and issued a request for proposal to Indian shipyards, including Hindustan Shipyards Limited, ABG and Pipavav shipyards. Due to the faster speed and smaller size, midgets are able to escape the enemy sound navigation and ranging probes, making them useful in carrying out covert operations, and help troops to penetrate into hostile territory without getting noticed by enemies. In 2013, other noteworthy development, Vizag-based Hindustan Shipyards Limited won the contract for building 4 500-ton mini-submarines, which were designed back in the previous decade by Larsen and Amphibious. The mini-submarines, to be delivered in the latter half of this decade, will be used exclusively by the Indian Navy's MARCOS. The combat management systems have been designed and built by Tata Power said, while River Calzone will be supplying the periscopes and other masts that will host SATCOM communication systems and LPI navigation radar. The sonar suite is likely to be supplied by Atlas Electronic. The average MARCOS training dropout rate is more than 90%. The force has its own training facility. First is an adjunct of the operational company at INS Abamani in Bombay. Later is the Naval Special Warfare Tactical Training Center. For combat diving training, the commandos are sent to the Naval Diving School, Kochi. There are plans to move the Naval Special Warfare Tactical Training Center to the erstwhile Naval Academy facility in Goa, where it will be set up, with focus on jungle warfare as well as counter-insurgency operations. The new facility will be modeled on the lines of CIJWS of the Indian Army in Mizoram. Future developments. To strengthen its capabilities to carry out special operations, the Navy is planning to procure advanced integrated combat system for the MARCOS. The Navy wants the ICS for effective command, control and information sharing to maximize capabilities of individuals and groups of the MARCOS while engaging enemies. The ICS will provide enhanced capabilities such as tactical awareness, ability to fight in hostile environment, and can enable group commanders to remotely monitor and control operations. It would help in integrating an individual sailor's capability of day and night surveillance, ballistic protection, communication and firepower through an integrated network at individual and group level. Initiating the procurement process through a request for information, Navy's Directorate of Special Operations and Diving has sought details from global vendors about the ICS, which should have gear for both individual and group uses. The individual equipment required by the Navy in the ICS includes lightweight helmets, head-mounted displays, tactical and soft ballistic vests along with communication equipment. The group-level gear requirements include command and control and surveillance systems along with high-speed communication equipment. The devices would have sight for the sniper, laser rangefinder and long-range thermal imager and near-IR laser pointer for a combat group to undertake surveillance, reconnaissance and targeting. The ICS would be compatible with the assault rifles and close-quarter combat weapons. The Navy has recently started inducting the Israeli IMI TAR-21 for the MARCOS bases. The MCF currently operates out of the naval bases at Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, Goa, Kochi and Port Blair. There are plans to shift the current training facility at the Naval Special Warfare Training and Tactical Center to a new facility to be set up at the erstwhile Naval Academy in Goa. On July 12, 2016, the naval base in Skana was commissioned near Visakhapatnam as a permanent base for the unit. Equipment: small arms pistol, auto 9mm 1A 9mm semi-automatic pistol, Beretta 92FS semi-automatic pistol, Sarco Tika T3 TAC 7.62 x 51mm bolt-action sniper rifles, SAF carbine 2A 19mm submachine gun, Heckler & Amp Koch MP5A3 A5 9mm submachine gun, AK 103 7.62 x 39mm assault rifle, AKM 7.62 x 39mm assault rifle, IMI TAR-21 5.56mm NATO assault rifle, IMI GTAR-21 5.56mm NATO assault rifle, APS Amphibious rifle 5.66 by 39mm underwater assault rifle, IMI Galil 7.62 sniper, Galats 7.62mm NATO semi-automatic sniper rifle, Heckler & Amp Koch MSG 97.62mm NATO semi-automatic sniper rifle. Support weapons: IMI Negev 5.56mm NATO light machine gun, MG2A1 7.62mm general purpose machine gun, GP25 40mm under-barrel grenade launcher, Arsenal UBGL 40 by 46mm under-barrel grenade launcher, AGS 1730 by 29mm automatic grenade launcher, RCL MK 384mm recoilless rifle, ship and anti-tank weapon, 9K38 IGLAMA and PADS, transport HAL-DHRUV utility helicopter. 6 Westland WS-61 Sea King transport helicopter, Chetak helicopters, Cosmos CE-2FX 102-man submarines, all-terrain vehicles, Indian Navy swimmer delivery vehicle,